What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Terxsu, but y'all can just call me Sonny for real. Alright, so look, today we're doing the unthinkable. We're putting Lee Everett up against Joel Miller. And nah, I'm not here to babysit y'all feelings. One's a convicted killer, one's a smuggler. Both raised a girl during the end of the world, but only one of them will make it out a legend. At least for this video. And for those of you who watch my Clementine versus Ellie video, y'all already know the drill. As always, we're going category by category, and by the end, you'll see why this wasn't close to begin with. Let's not waste any time. Joel is mopping Lee in a fight. Like, respectfully, Lee is getting manhandled. This man Joel got 20 plus years of apocalypse gym work. The Nick built like your friend's angry stepdad who played linebacker back in '98 and never let that shit go. Y'all know what he do. Snapping necks, crafting, dodging, and fist fighting full grown men with military training. And look man, Lee, bro, I love Lee, but my man was struggling with Molly. And yeah, he still won, but let's be honest, she hit him with some combos like she came straight out of Mirror's Edge, bro. Then you got the stranger, and don't forget, Lee did choke him out one-armed. That's underrated as hell. Lee is tough, he's a scrapper, and maybe a killer, but Joel's a certified killer. It's not the same thing. But now, let's talk survival. And again, it's Joel. Yeah, y'all thought it was gonna be like the Clem versus Ellie video, right? Hell nah. Lee made it through what? Barely 5 months? Joel made it through 2 decades. That's damn near evolution. Lee had a group, Joel became the group. You leave Lee alone too long, you could argue that he dies. You leave Joel alone too long, he builds a base, sets traps, and starts charging rent. Again, Lee is underrated. He's smart, he's compassionate, but if they swapped worlds, Joel is making it out of the Walking Dead universe with ease. Lee in The Last of Us, he's not even making it past Bill's town. Both combat and survival go to Joel. This is the first category where I know people are gonna argue, because both of these men, they raised daughters that weren't theirs, and they did it in a world that was already falling apart. Let's talk fatherhood first. And when I say fatherhood, I don't just mean who's the better father. Obviously, that'd be Joel just off of experience alone, because yeah, Joel had a daughter, Sarah. He lost her in the most traumatic way possible, and that grief shaped everything about him. So when Ellie came along, that connection just hit different. He didn't want to be a dad again, but that bond formed anyway. And when it did happen, he went all in. He protected her, gave her stability, let her be a kid again. That museum scene, the guitar lessons, that man tried to give her the pieces of the world that he already lost. But here's the thing, for some odd reason, Lee and Clementine still hits harder. I'm already knowing half of y'all just clicked off the video, but for those of you that are still watching, hear me out. I already know, Sonny, you're biased, Listen, Lee didn't have a daughter. He wasn't emotionally ready for one. He met Clem at the start of the apocalypse and still chose to protect her. And from that point forward, she became his reason to keep going. Not just to live, but to be better. He went from a man in handcuffs to a man giving his last breath to make sure a little girl lived right. And Clementine herself didn't just love Lee. She trusted him. When she looked at him, it was peace. And that kind of fatherhood, that's not just blood, that's earned. Now mentorship is where it gets closer, because let's be honest, this Joel turned Ellie into a problem. Combat, stealth, survival, she moves like Joel 2.0. Everything from the shooting, the fighting, the crafting, to the way she talks. He passed down a whole toolkit of war. She knows how to move through a violent world because of Joel. And yeah, a lot of that helped her live, especially after his death. But it also pushed her closer to becoming him. And if you played part 2, you know exactly what I mean. Lee, he had way less time. He taught Clem the basics, how to shoot, how to stay calm, how to stay hidden, keep your hair short. But more importantly, he taught her how to think, how to question people, how to trust herself, how to survive without becoming a monster. He didn't just teach her how to kill, he taught her how to choose. He prioritized not just her survival, but her growth. And that's a different kind of strength. Was Clementine's skill set more complete after Jane, Kenny, and Time? Of course, but her foundation, her identity, that came from Lee. Every time she made a decision in that game, you could feel Lee in the room. So yeah, Joel may have trained Ellie into a machine, but Lee trained Clem into a leader. And between the two, Only one girl passed those lessons forward. Both points go to Lee. Let's talk about who they were before they became protectors, because both Lee and Joel were not good men when we met them. Lee was in the back of a cop car. Joel was out here doing whatever he had to, smuggling, killing, no questions asked. Neither one of them were trying to be a hero. The difference is in what they did with the time that they had. Lee got a second chance and he took it. He met a scared little girl hiding in a treehouse, and without hesitation, he stepped up. He didn't know her, he didn't owe her, but every choice after that moment was about protecting her, guiding her, and making up for whatever he did in the past. And yeah, he didn't have years to grow, he had days. But in those days, he went from a guy with nothing to lose to a man who gave up everything for one little girl to live right. Joel's arc is different. He was cold, detached. He didn't care about anyone but Tess in some ways. Then he met Ellie, and for the first time in 20 years, he started to care again. But caring again doesn't always mean changing. Joel wanted redemption. You could feel it in the way he opened up to Ellie, in the way he started to soften. But the problem, Joel never actually changed his ways. His one redemption moment, that big final chance to prove he was a better man, he blew it. He didn't sacrifice himself. He didn't do what was best for the world. He took what he wanted. And yeah, maybe we would have done the same. You know, I can't say for sure if I would have done the same or not. But that's not redemption. That's possession. That's fear of loss. Lee's redemption came in a single moment when he knew he was going to die. He still chose to make Clem stronger. He didn't lie based on your choices. He didn't hide from it based on your choices. He let her go the right way. Joel didn't get that moment. He had time, but no peace. Lee had peace and not enough time. And somehow that made it more powerful. The redemption arc point goes to Lee. Alright. I need you to really think about this one. Joel had 2 full games, a DLC, flashbacks, and an HBO show, which we're not counting. What I'm saying is he had years to leave his mark. His character had room to breathe, room to evolve. And when he died, it broke people. I'm not downplaying that. But here's the thing. Lee Everett had 1 season, just 5 episodes. And to this day, he still gets brought up like he's the standard. There was no HBO show, no remaster, no DLC, just raw storytelling. And yet somehow his arc hit harder than characters with triple the runtime. He didn't need multiple seasons. He didn't need multiple rewrites. Telltale wrote 1 man, gave him 1 mission, and nailed it. And again, this isn't disrespect to Joel. His story was powerful. The whole Firefly situation, the guilt, the lie, the revenge arc that followed, it all mattered. But Lee's story, Lee defined the entire Walking Dead game series. He was the emotional root, and even after he was gone, his presence was still there. That's how you measure impact. When the story keeps moving, but your ghost still leads the way. I gotta give that to Lee. Sacrifice, arguably the most important aspect any leader should have. Not just dying to protect someone, but the matter behind it. The choice, the consequences, what it costs you. Lee Everett was already bitten. He didn't have long. But even while his body was shutting down, he kept going. He pushed through a full herd of walkers, 1 arm down, just to reach Clementine. And when he finally got to her, he didn't ask her to save him. He used his last moments to make sure she knew what to do without him, how to survive, what to carry, and what to let go. Then he gave her the choice. Let him turn or pull the trigger. And that choice didn't just shape her, it shaped you. It shaped us, the players. That sacrifice was great. It was quiet, it was tragic, but it was also pure. There was no one left to impress, no audience, just 1 man making peace. Joel's sacrifice was different. He wasn't dying, he wasn't bleeding out, he was being told, let this girl die so we can maybe save the world. And Joel said no. He walked into that hospital like a 1-man apocalypse, took out anyone who stood between him and Ellie. Then he carried her out, unconscious, and didn't even let her know what she was forced to give up. He lied, he buried the truth, and he made the single most selfish, loving, complicated choice in gaming. Not just to protect her, but to keep her. So who made the bigger sacrifice? Lee gave his life, but Joel gave Ellie a future and took one from the rest of the world. He made the biggest sacrifice, not by dying for someone, but living with what he did to keep them alive. Morality/sacrifice goes to Joel. Alright, look, if you didn't cry during at least one of these games, at least one scene, go ahead and log off now. Consider yourself an op. Lee's dialogue wasn't flashy, it wasn't cinematic, it was just real. The way he talks to Clem, it feels like how you talk to your little sister after the world fell apart. Patient, protective, but when it gets heavy, even in the slightest, he doesn't flinch. I'll miss you. Avoid cities. Keep your hair short. The way he delivered those lines, you could hear the pain bleeding through, like he was holding it all in just to be strong for her. And let's not forget, Lee's voice actor, Dave Fennoy, was choking up in the booth. That was a grown man breaking. Now Joel, Troy Baker is a problem. This man says 5 words and your chest starts tightening. When he's joking, it lands. When he's angry, you feel that shit. When he's heartbroken, you shut up and you listen. No glaze at all, but this one little detail when Joel cleared out the Firefly Hospital sticks with me more than any part of that whole sequence. I don't know why. When Joel said, "It's okay, baby girl," as he carried Ellie off. That line alone, that broke me more than my student loans. Joel's dialogue feels lived in. Every pause, every grunt, you feel every year he survived. And that final flashback with Ellie, when he tells Ellie that he would do it all over again. That's what emotional damage sounds like. These two don't just talk, they pull you in. It's not what they say, it's what they hold back. The tone, the pauses, the stuff they don't know how to say. I can't lie, there's no winner here. They both left us staring at the screen with the controller in our laps like, damn, I'm not okay. In my eyes, Lee hit your heart, but Joel hit your soul. Both had me sitting there like I just got dumped. I ain't gonna lie, we're splitting this one. This one's about violence, but not just violence itself, but rather how far you're willing to go and whether you even flinch when you get there. Lee had his moments. He choked out the stranger. He threatened when he had to. He could be dark when he needed to be, especially if you made those harsher choices. But even at his worst, Lee always had a line. He never became the monster. You felt him trying to hold it together. You could hear it in his voice. He never wanted to go too far. Not only because he didn't want to repeat his mistake that got him arrested, but because someone was always watching, someone he was trying to protect. Man, now Joel, don't even get me started on him. This man was born in the darkness like Bane. You want to know how far Joel will go? Ask all the dead niggas at Firefly Hospital. Joel will torture you, kill you, break you, and then reload just in case your soul respawns. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't ask questions, he ends problems. Like, let me be clear, this man walked into a hospital with armed guards, doctors, and a fully prepped surgical team and turned it into a cold war. Then he lied about it like it was just some grocery run. This man is Mr. Stand on Business. Lee could throw hands, but Joel? Joel is hands. Oh my gosh, bro, that shit was so corny. My point is, one of them tried to stay human, the other forgot what that even meant. And in a world like theirs, sometimes being the monster is what keeps you alive. Joel takes this one with zero hesitation. Let's talk about people, because in both of these stories, a big part of survival is about who you trust, who you keep around, and how long they actually stay. Lee was the heart of every room he stepped into. He listened, he calmed people down, he gave people chances, even when they didn't deserve them. And the crazy part is, he didn't have to do any of that. This man was a convicted killer on day one. He could have just survived solo. Instead, he became the glue. He made people better. Kenny respected him based on your choices. Krista trusted him based on your choices. Ben, even after all of his mistakes, died with Lee still having his back based on your choices. Let's keep it real with Joel. He is not the guy you come to when you want to talk things out. Come to Joel when it's time to break bone. Tess? Gone. Marlene? Yeah, she got her head popped. Tommy? In all honesty, Tommy barely tolerates Joel. Joel's only real bond, the only person he ever truly let in again, was Ellie. And even that was built on lies. Lies to protect her, sure, but lies that still cracked the whole foundation. Lee was a leader, Joel was a survivor, and those are not the same thing. Lee built bridges, Joel burned them. And when the dust settled, one man had a family, the other had a rifle, a memory, and a whole lot of guilt. Lee wins this one without even trying. Alright, this is it. Legacy. What did they leave behind? And no, not just in their story, but in the people who came after. Let's start with Joel. He taught Ellie how to fight, how to survive, how to hold on, even when it hurts. And when he died, that pain ricocheted. But his legacy, to me, it was complicated. He didn't just leave behind a lesson, he left behind a scar. Ellie didn't pass it forward. She carried it, and it almost killed her. Joel's legacy was powerful, but it was also painful. It was fallout. Lee didn't get a second game, but somehow he never left. Everything Clementine became, every decision she made, every life she saved, traces back to Lee. He taught her how to survive, but more importantly, how to stay human. And even after she lost him, she passed those lessons down to AJ, to Erickson's boarding school, to everyone who stood by her. Lee raised a generation. Joel's legacy was like fire, beautiful, yet tragic and painful. Lee's legacy was like a seed, quiet, powerful, and always growing. One ended in silence, the other never stopped speaking. Yeah, Lee takes this one gracefully. He didn't leave behind a cure or a war, he left behind a better world. And if you ask me, that's the real endgame. So look, we've been scoring, debating, making some crazy hot takes, but here's a question that hurts a little too good. What if the both of them lived? What if Joel didn't get clocked like a Home Depot doorbell? What if Lee never got bit and just limped into season 2 like nothing happened? Clem would have had her dad, AJ would have had a granddad, Ellie wouldn't have had to go full John Wick just to cope, and Joel, he could have finally relaxed without having to snap somebody's neck first. They would just be two girl dads just vibing. But nope, Telltale said bitten, Naughty Dog said golf club, and now here we are, theorizing what could have been like it's fanfiction. No score, no winners, just two men who died so their stories could live. Rest in peace to the legends. They didn't make it out, but we're still here talking about them. And let's be honest, if they did survive, they'd be the ones writing this script. Hey, let me know if y'all want a video like that though. You know, I'm a nerd for real. I can really deep dive and really explain how I think both games would have went if they both survived. So there it is, Lee versus Joel. And guess what? It really wasn't that close, you know. Lee Everett, one season, one game, and somehow still left fingerprints on 3 others. We can't act like he just saved Clementine. He built her. He taught her how to think, how to feel, how to carry the weight of everyone who came after. Joel Miller, he's a beast. He dragged Ellie through hell and high water and taught her how to live in it. He had one of the coldest deaths in gaming, one of the loudest legacies, and somehow still left people arguing over whether he was a villain or not. But when it comes to impact, to relationships, to growth, to the legacy that stayed, Lee just hits different. He didn't need 2 games and a DLC. He made one season feel like a lifetime. Lee was the blueprint. It's been your boy Sunny, but of course, y'all can call me Terxsu. And as always, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.